For 3 years, I was working 100-hour weeks in investment banking, leaving 4th of July fireworks so that I could finish spreadsheets. I quit with no plan and spent 6 months figuring it out, but now I'm in a career that I genuinely enjoy. Today, we're going to cover the exact framework that helped me go from burnout to fulfillment. We'll cover how to audit what you actually want versus what you think you want, plus why one uncomfortable feeling is the secret to career clarity. By the end of this video, you'll know 6 proven strategies to help you escape a job that's draining your soul and find work that actually energizes you. So, let's get into it. Here's something that might sting a little. The reason why you hate your job probably started before you ever even took the job in the first place. Most people that are chasing prestigious careers are worried about job titles instead of what it is that they're actually going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. You can go out, you can memorize a few interview questions, and you can sell yourself into a role without really even knowing what it is. What I recommend doing is focusing on tasks and not title, meaning you should understand exactly what the day-to-day, hour-to-hour would look like of any role before you decide to go in and actually do it. I would literally reach out to people on LinkedIn or people that you know who are in that role and just ask them, what does a typical Tuesday look like for you in your job? So that you can know what it is that you're signing up for. When I was pursuing investment banking, I wanted to tell people that I was an investment banker because it sounded impressive. Secretly, I hoped that the job would be strategy focused and building complex financial models, but the reality was that the job was building marketing materials and sitting in on sales calls. And had I taken the time to research and understand exactly what the day-to-day would look like as an investment banker, I would have realized that I wanted something more numbers focused from day one and not taken the job. And so by putting in that work up front, you can potentially save yourself years of career frustration. The next tip is a hard pill to swallow, but the reality is that you probably don't want to be rich as badly as you think that you do. You think that chasing a prestigious career is going to make you happy, but you haven't even really thought about what the impact would be to your family and your relationships. You think that money will solve your problems, but the issue is that you never really decided what is enough. A lot of people think that they can trade unlimited pain for money, but the reality is that once you realize that that pain is in perpetuity, you realize that the money isn't really worth it. You need to get brutally honest with yourself. When I was working 80 to 100-hour weeks in investment banking, I wanted to be financially secure so badly. But when I was leaving the 4th of July, in the middle of the fireworks, when I was missing my weekends, skipping vacations, and realized that I was only 50% present when I was with my family, that's when I realized that I really didn't want to be rich as badly as I thought that I did, because that price was just too high. So when you're thinking about careers, you should literally list out what are your non-negotiables that you're not willing to trade for money. Is it your health? Is it your family? Is it your weekends or vacations? Literally scope those out and think about it before you take the money and determine whether or not that risk is worth it for you. For the next tip, most people dream about their ideal work-life balance, but they haven't put in the work to understand what that ideal balance actually looks like. They go after roles that sound good in theory, but actually go against what their values are. And they accept that work must be miserable because they've never put in the work to understand what fulfillment actually looks like. Don't let your work rhythm dictate your entire life, and instead, put in the work to understand what it is that you really want to get out of your job. I would literally open up a blank Google Calendar right now and design what your ideal week looks like. What time are you waking up? When are you doing deep work? What type of work are you working on that energizes you? And when do you log off? Most people don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. to do work, and that's okay. You need to understand what it is that works best for you so that we can start marching towards achieving that dream lifestyle. When you build out that template of what your ideal week looks like, then when you're evaluating job opportunities, you can compare it to that template to figure out whether or not it's something that works for you. The reality is that your job doesn't have to be your passion, but it should fund and fit the lifestyle that you're trying to live so that it works for you. This next tip is the mindset shift that saved my sanity, because even if you're in a job that you hate, it can become the perfect training ground for your dream career. A lot of people think that they're wasting their time if they're working in a job that's boring or unfulfilling to them because they think that they should be working on their passion. And a lot of people get really discouraged if the type of role that they really want to be working in, could be tech, it could be investing, just feels really unattainable to them. So they think that they need to start over from scratch and undo years of work that they've already put in. I think that people need to stop looking for the perfect job and start extracting the maximum value that they can out of their current job. When I left investment banking, I was devastated when I couldn't get a role in tech or venture capital, which is what I really wanted to do. But the new role that I got in M&A wasn't something that I was really excited about doing, and I thought that the company was boring. But when I started the job, I switched my mindset. Instead of focusing on what the exact role is that I wanted to be doing, and started focusing on what skills I can develop that will be transferable to other careers. Over the past few years, I've focused on building strategic thinking skills. I've focused on building my leadership skills and how to apply my financial analysis in new ways that will apply across any career that I decide I end up wanting to do. So when you can change your mindset to focus on building the skills that you want to develop at your job, you're literally getting paid to build those skills. So this mental shift really made the job more inherently interesting for me. And I think that you can apply it so that you don't see your job as a dead end, but instead see it as a way where you're training to build the skills that you're eventually going to need for when you launch your dream career. The next tip is one that the education system never told you, which is that you actually don't need to do the first job that you choose right after you graduate school at 22 for the next 40 years of your life. A lot of people feel trapped and think that whatever it is that they studied in school is what they need to do for the rest of their career, even if they don't like it. And what this is really an industrial age way of thinking, where people are being trained to act as specialized cogs within a machine so that they can be good workers. And that type of thinking has really trapped people into thinking that they aren't able to fulfill whatever their true potential is. What I recommend doing is embracing the Renaissance man mentality, because before the Industrial Revolution, people were actually encouraged to pursue their interests and have multiple different careers over the span of the 40 years that they would be working. Leonardo da Vinci is an example of what is possible when you pursue your interests over a long period of time. Now that we live in the internet world, we're moving beyond the industrial age, where we're now freed from being trapped into not being able to learn new skills that we can apply in new ways. So my finance background is not a limitation. It's a skill set that I've explored for the last 10 years and have become good at. So there's nothing to say that I can't teach myself how to code and move into tech for a few years, learn how to specialize in media so that I can build a media company. By pursuing what it is that you're actually interested in and going online and using YouTube or free resources so you can learn what it is that you're actually interested in, you're gonna figure out how all these different fields and interests can piece together in ways that are hard to understand or even imagine. And the goal is that by pursuing things that you're interested in for a long enough period of time, then you're gonna put yourself in a unique position where you're able to do exactly what it is that you love to do in a new way that people will actually pay you to do because your interests are unique to you. This last tip sounds completely backwards, but actually might be the most important one. Most people fill every quiet moment that they have with scrolling on their phone so that they can avoid the uncomfortable process of being alone with their thoughts. We aren't giving ourselves the space that we need to actually process the difficult questions that we have about our career. And so what happens is that a lot of the most important decisions that we make are from a position of distraction instead of clarity. And we know that something needs to change, but we don't know what. So what I recommend doing is that you put down your phone and embrace boredom for some period of time every day. Use an app blocker if you have to. That's what I do so that I can have the time to actually think about what's important. When I quit my job and took those 6 months off, I finally had the space to be alone with my thoughts and just think. I would read books until I was bored and go down fascinating paths with history, philosophy, or studying career strategy. And only by giving myself that space to just let myself be curious is how I got down the road of actually following things that I'm interested in. A lot of people really just need to give themselves a little bit of space every day so that they can be bored and really think through the uncomfortable things that they're pushing out for their life so that you can confront those problems and then have the clarity to make strong career decisions so that over a long period of time, you'll end up being exactly where it is that you should be. Careers are a really important part of our life because it spans 40 years or more if you can find something that you're really passionate about. And if you're in a position where you really aren't happy with the way that your career is going, it might be because you're burnt out. And if you're burnt out, then I would recommend watching this video above where we spot the signs of burnout and talk about how you can treat it and think about what a sustainable path is so that you can build a solid foundation for your career.